Yo, what's up, my people? My name is Eddie, and welcome to Campfire Community, sharing wisdom to guide each other through life. And today I want to talk a bit about sadness. We've talked a lot about anger before, and I even just noticed myself getting angry a little while ago. I'm here in the park doing a workout, and I noticed that there were some people that were just playing around on the equipment that I was working out on, and I was getting angry. And I noticed myself getting angry because I was feeling like, this is where I work out and this is my park, and you're in my way and I'm in the, middle of a set and all the things. But when I thought about it, I realized they were just people that were walking through the park on a beautiful day, and they had every right to be there and to be looking at the workout stuff and exploring the park. And I had to check in with myself and recognize that the reason I was feeling angry and I was directing it toward these people was because I'm in the process of dealing with some sadness myself. And I remember in the past, I would be, a tough guy, real stoic. Like, yep, shit happens, people die, life's a bitch. And thinking like I was above it and tough and I can handle it. And I can. I've handled my fair share of adversity as a New York City firefighter in Brooklyn, and just getting into fights as kids, and had my face cut open with a razor blade when I was young. You grow up and you go through life and stuff happens. You learn to deal with adversity. But I noticed when I was younger that when I would get angry, it was usually if something bad would happen, instead of me processing the full spectrum of emotions, the sadness, the grief, the confusion, the fear, the insecurity, humiliation, all the things, I would just repress, suppress, stuff it all down, numb and distracted, all the things, and it would manifest itself mostly as anger. And so now when I notice myself getting angry, it's almost like I want to ask myself, what are you sad about? And I know what I'm sad about. I mean, it's on the heels of receiving some bad news. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about what, as a community, we can do to understand sadness a little bit better, so we can not only show up for ourselves, but show up for each other in a way that is healthy. And so yesterday, I brought my dog to the vet. She was coughing, and I just thought she had some allergies, and she would get overheated. I have her out in the park, and we go upstate swimming and running around the park and the fields and all this stuff. And she wasn't really cooling off as well as I would have liked it to. She just seemed to be overheated, and I was like, you know what? It's been a little while since we got a checkup. Let's get a checkup. And they did an x-ray, and they diagnosed her with heart failure. And the the heart was so large that it's taking up most of the rib cage, and it's pushing on her trachea, and so she's not able to expel fluid from the lungs as well. And so they gave her some Lasix, and they gave me a couple other meds, and I'm told now to give her these meds, and that will help to relieve some of the symptoms which she's dealing with. But they also told me that with the heart enlarged, with the diagnosis of congestive heart failure, that typical lifespan is about 6 months to a year. And she's only 6 years old. And so I was just shocked to hear it. Like I was not expecting it. And I had to just maintain my composure, and the doctor was wonderful. And she just told me all the things about the medicine and to understand the condition itself. And it just hurts. It just hurts to know that this thing that I'm so closely bonded to is going to be leaving me before I would like her to. I know, look, we lose everything that we have in our lives, but I was just hopeful that she would be in my life a lot longer, and it just makes me feel sad. And as like I sit here being sad about my dog, like I realize at the same time that I'm sitting in a park, and how fortunate I am. I have a wonderful life. There are people in the world living in war zones. There are people suffering from catastrophic illness and got terrible diagnosis or horrible news. And I understand that I'm crying about my little purebred dog. And I even noticed, even in just saying that statement, that there's a part of me that wants to try to validate the the sadness that I'm feeling, almost as if I have to make an excuse for it because it's not worthy or valid of being real sadness, because so many other people have it so much worse. But that's not cool to do to ourselves. If we're feeling sadness, we need to let ourselves feel what we need to feel. We are human beings that have a full spectrum of emotions, and we have to honor that. And a lot of suffering in our world comes from our inability to honestly and authentically express our emotions. And when we don't sit with our feelings and honor them or express them in a way that is healthy, they will manifest themselves in unhealthy ways. They will reveal themselves in ugly ways, typically, in ways that will make us suffer more and more until we learn the lesson that we must properly honor the full spectrum emotions of what it means to be a human being. And, like, are men even allowed to cry? I know that's a rhetorical question, but when I ask it, I know you understand what I'm saying. That when a man expresses sadness, it's seen in some ways as something that most people don't want to hear about. And there's a reason for it. A lot of people don't care about men's sadness for obvious reasons. I mean, we're in a lot of ways disposable in society. You can send them off to war and have them killed in thousands. And, we don't do that to women and children. It's men that are sent off to war. And so we understand, like, you can send men to war and all of them can get killed, but we have to protect the women. We have to protect the bearers of life. So we understand that. So society at large doesn't really have much room or compassion for men suffering. And I'm not complaining about that. There's no part of me that's self-deprecating, and I don't want to feed into the victim mentality at all. I just want to clearly state that just because society at large, or maybe our women, our wives, or girlfriends, don't really care to see us express emotions of sadness or things that might make us feel weak or less than, or should I say more feminine, it doesn't mean that we don't have the emotions within us. And it doesn't mean that they don't need to be properly expressed. So to confuse the two, to confuse people not caring with how we feel with our the lack of the need to express our emotions properly is to be confused. We can understand that no one's coming to save us. Mama's not coming to wipe our boo-boo and kiss our tears and tell us everything's going to be okay. No one's coming to save us. But as men, it's up to us to recognize that the healthy emotional spectrum of men is in compromise recently, and a lot of men are suffering from the inability to properly express emotions, and it's manifesting itself in many unhealthy ways. And I notice it in myself when I many times would get angry and then only realize that it was a sadness or a fear that had yet to be held and discovered and tended to. And it's only recently that I'm allowing myself the space to really get to the point in my life. I think I'm just at the age and time in my life now where I just don't really care anymore what other people think about me. I am no longer interested in chasing validation or approval or acceptance from other people. I'm grateful to have the people that love me and accept me. And I'm grateful to believe in myself in a way where I don't need the external validation anymore like I did when I was younger. And so when we get to a point where we realize that a lot of the times our fear of expressing sadness comes from our fear of what other people will think of us if we express sadness, we recognize that by doing that, we don't actually carrying around things that don't belong to us. That we're carrying around baggage from our childhood that begs to be expressed, and we are carrying it around in the form of, maybe it's fat, maybe it's addiction, maybe it's sadness, maybe it's depression, maybe it can manifest itself in a myriad of ways. And so when we recognize that by not expressing our sadness and not honoring our authenticity and expressing our emotions in a healthy way, that we're carrying around baggage that we just don't need anymore. And so what does it mean as a man to then recognize that it's our responsibility to address some of these issues? That it's our responsibility to find healthier ways to show up for ourselves and each other. That sometimes we need to dare to be vulnerable and express our true emotions. And when we do that, we can give each other permission. And when we see a brother out there that's struggling, is going through a tough time, you can ask him, hey, what's going on, man? And if he says nothing, you can ask him again and say, you sure you're all right? And when he says, yeah, I'm fine, you can ask him again and say, are you sure you're fine? Because, I don't know, you seem a little off. You want to talk about it? And dare to just invite someone to open up and reveal their truth. And you don't need to do anything. All you need to do is listen. You don't need to dispense advice. You don't need to tell them how to be, what to do, none of it. Just simply to listen. To dare to see another brother or sister's pain, to hear their troubles, the heaviness of their heart. To dare to remind each other that we're not alone with what we're feeling. To dare to recognize that men are suffering and give them permission to release what no longer belongs to them and let go. To dare to see the pain and sadness and the grief of our brothers and sisters, and to just let them know that they're not alone, that we understand each other, that you're there for them, that it's okay, that they're not alone. And honestly, I've been so sad the last couple of days, just really thinking about what's going to happen with my dog and what the end is going to be like, and all the things that we used to do that we can't do anymore, the swimming and the hiking and the running and it hurts. And I'm grateful for the people in my life that can hear me just express my pain and my sadness and love me anyway. And it's beautiful to feel like I have people in my life that can be that for me. So maybe we can learn to be that for each other.